Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be welcoming back my good friend Marie Laurin, the star of the 1985 sci-fi horror classic Creature, and I'm going to have her on the show today because last time she was on, she had briefly mentioned that she had quit acting for 25 years and worked with disabled children. And she worked in disabled children group homes. And I told her about how I briefly had to live in a couple of them. And I'm going to have her back on the show today to talk about that because some new information has come up. I've alluded to it in the last few months on the podcast, but haven't gone into full detail over it yet. And I'm going to talk to her about it today on the show, and it's going to be pretty good. Marie is a lot of fun and really nice, and it's going to be pretty awesome, I think. So, yeah, here is my new interview with Marie Laurin. Hello?
Hi, Tommy. Okay, hopefully I am in my car still, so I think it's charging still. We'll be okay.
Okay, great. How are you?
I'm fine. How about you?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good. The weather is
Life
pretty.
has been life has been good.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty dark for a while last year, but it's gotten much better, I have to say. And 2019 looks like a really good year so far.
Oh, good. Can you hear me? Okay, because I am in underground garage right now. Can you hear me?
Oh
Okay.
yeah, I can hear you just
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay. So you want to do it? You want to do the interview right now? Are we on, or you want to call me right back?
Oh,
How
we're
does that
we're
work?
we're on right now.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But yeah, things are looking really good. I'm on a diet. I've lost 10 pounds so far.
Oh, great. What
Yeah.
kind of diet? Keto? Are you on that keto diet everybody's talking about?
No, I drink Premier shakes. I eat lots of turkey, lots of vegetables. I go walking on the treadmill at least 10 minutes a day, and I just stay off dessert and all that.
Yeah, it's always a good way to do it. Stay away from dessert. I know in French we have a thing about losing weight. Stay away from everything that starts with the letter P in French, which is pain, pâte, and pâtisserie, pasta, bread, and pastry. And if you stay away from those, you lose weight automatically. So
but
yeah. So
but
last time I talked to you was what, about 6 months ago?
uh,
I can't remember.
I think it was maybe about 9 months ago.
9 months ago. Okay. And I think when I talked to you last time, was I in pre-production for my film, The Uncanny?
I think so. I think so.
Okay.
But
Well, well, wrapped up now. We just wrapped, so it's done, and now we're in post-production. It's just starting post-production.
nice. Did you have a lot of fun making it?
Oh my God, it was so much fun. It was, it's a feature film. It's a psychological thriller, supernatural horror genre, and we shot for 3 weeks. And it was very, very intense. And I had this absolutely terrific cast and crew, and they went to the ringer. It was very, very difficult shoot because first of all, it was a low budget, it was a union SAG low budget film, but I expected high quality. So, and so in the story we go through, I think it's 7 different decades. We go through the 1918, the 20s, the 30s, the 50s, the 60s, the 90s, and nowadays. And we had to go through a different change of set of costume. It was just unbelievable. And it's just a very, very dark story which dealt with about depression and suicide in women. But we also managed to have humor in there because life, however tragic it is, has funny moments. And everybody rose to my expectation and way beyond. I've been looking at the footage, and I am just thrilled. I was very fortunate.
Nice, nice. I'm so glad. Um, how many films have you done since returning to acting?
This is I returned to acting in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
No, in 2015, almost in 16, and I've done 3 features.
You've done 3 features. Have you
Mm-hmm.
have you have you discovered? So you've discovered like how acting and like movie sets have changed drastically since you were doing it in the
Oh
80s.
yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh yes. It's way better now. Way. For example, I mean, so much as it did the uncanny. I co-wrote the script. I
Mm.
produced it. My daughter directed it. She co-wrote it with me also, and somebody else named Dan Golden. And I also star in it. Now it's just a real budget film, but we could have never in my wildest dreams make a film in the 80s for that kind of money because, first of all, we didn't have digital camera. You know what I mean? That was a huge,
Yeah.
huge difference. And we even were able to afford the top of the line camera for this film, which is Iris Alexa, and so it looks like a film. It doesn't look like digital at all, and it could have never happened then. And also because of this whole Me Too movement and women,
Mm.
being much more involved behind the scene, I was able to have a large part of my crew was female. My DP is unbelievable, and she's a young woman. She's amazing. Bianca BTTI, and my AD was, I would say more than half of my crew was female. And that back in the days when I was young, pretty much only female on the set were costume and makeup and hair, wardrobe and all that. It was very difficult
Yeah.
for women to get, and it's still very difficult, but there's more and more women creating content and wanting to hire other women. And that is what I did with that film. Basically, it's about depression among women. We also have we have great guys on the set. Don't get me wrong. We had awesome dudes on the set. We had awesome male actors in the film. So it was very, instead of just being male-dominated project, it was equal. The way society is, you have as many women and men in society, in the world, and so it was really intense, but pretty amazing experience to go through that. Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, it's a lot better. I like it a lot better than and also, what else is good, Tom, is back in the days, you have to promote your project, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and buying advertisement time and whatever in the 80s was impossible. It was a ridiculous amount of money to take an ad in Variety, Hollywood Reporter.
Mm.
Now, who cares? You get on Facebook, you get on Instagram, and right away people know about your project, and it's free.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So
With
much.
casting, I didn't have to go through a casting director. I didn't have the budget for that. A lot of my friends, I wrote a lot of the parts for friends of mine who are actors, but for also have children in the film. So I went to Backstage West and put an ad for a few female parts and kids, and I was bombarded. I got over close to 1,500 applications.
Mm-hmm.
Send me their demo reel and applying for the part. It was just overwhelming. So then again, because of social media, you're able to do that, and I could have done that in the 80s.
Yeah. I know it's just completely changed now, and some people I've talked to think it's changed for the better. Others are just like, I should have held on to, a piece of something that they did in the '80s that was successful. They would have been a whole lot richer now.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's way better. And the important thing, Tom, is when I went back to acting, and in 2015, I enrolled in an acting class under James Franco, and for me, it was a terrific experience. I loved it, and I remember him telling us, just don't stay home waiting for phone touring, waiting to an agent, a manager to send you out. You have to create your own project, create your own film gang, your own film family, and make things with them. And that is what all of my friends are doing. We're making our own projects. We're casting, hiring friends of ours, which we know are wonderful to work with and very talented as actors or behind the camera. And we're not waiting for the phone to ring because it's not going to ring anyway. You know, it only rings for big, big names. You know, it's true. That is one way the industry changed for the worse. It's much more difficult now for a young actress, for example, I think, to get representation.
Mm-hmm.
When I came here from Canada in 1980, it was very easy for me to get agent manager. I think it will be very difficult now. They really want names. Then they were willing to take unknown beginners and build them up. Not anymore.
Yeah. Well, I think in some cases it's always been a little difficult to get representation depending on who the person was and stuff. But yeah, back in the day, it was a lot easier.
Oh yeah. Now they look at your IMDb numbers. They look at your Instagram followers. They look at Facebook, how many friends. It's crazy.
I know.
You're like a product. You know what I mean? You
Well,
have to market yourself like a product.
well, you always kind of have been a product, but now they
Yes,
just rely on you for everything.
yes.
It's
It's worse. But like I said, you can create your own opportunities, which was way more difficult then to do. And now also we have all those wonderful film festivals. You know, I understand they're very hard to get into, but there's also a lot of them out there. So if you can get in and, you know, meet people like you with the same passion and you can network, I think those are wonderful opportunities. You just have to go out there and create them.
absolutely. And yeah, there's been an oversaturation of these festivals because there's so many
Oh,
people trying to get into them.
yeah, I mean, and that is the plan. I'll be honest. That is the plan we have for the Uncanny. We've been keep. If you know, you're my friend on Facebook, so you probably notice I did not post anything on the film, and on purpose.
Mm,
I want to be done with the film because so many of us we have dreams. We want to do this. We want to do that. We want to make movies, and then things. Even with big Hollywood projects, things get canceled, things get shelved, and I don't want to say anything. Even some of my close friends in Canada don't even know I just did a film. You know, I want to be done with it and then finish the post production, then start working, you know, the social media with it, and then try to get in some festival for 1 year, you know, like everybody else. And after the year, try to find distribution.
yeah, distribution is a real hard one now, and
Oh,
that's why these
yeah.
festivals are happening and stuff. I hope somebody releases an independent film that changes that and makes it go back to the way it used to be because it just I feel so bad for people whose movies are not being seen because of it.
Oh, I know. There's so many wonderful indie movies out there that you know nobody will ever see. So it's pretty frustrating. But you gotta keep trying, right?
Yeah, I have a lot of people that I seek out for interviews, and they're like, "I'd rather talk about my current projects than my past ones," and I'm like, "Yeah, but no one's gonna see them."
Yeah.
You know, I hate
No.
to say that, but it's true.
Yeah, but there's, people always, you know, everybody's a dreamer, and so it's, and I think for actors talking about the past for them it doesn't bring them anything. You know, it's just like okay, but I need to keep moving and try to do new stuff because I cannot live from the past. So
Yeah.
maybe that's why so many of the people we interview are reluctant to talk about their old. You know, like for me, for example, I mean, I had a long. I got out of the industry in the early '90s and
Mm,
worked in the mental health field for many years till I just came back in. So you know, it's hard. I have to start over from scratch.
yeah, but I'll tell you, there are a lot of people who, in the last 6 or 7 years, that the podcast world has been very riding high. There's been a lot of people who have done so many interviews talking about their past work, and now they're working steadily, like all the time
Oh,
now.
great.
Yeah, and
Well, maybe you'll bring me luck.
yeah, but well, I'll tell you one thing. There's this one actress I interviewed a year ago. Um, she had been out of the industry for about I don't know, close to 25 years, maybe even
Okay,
30.
it's about like me, yeah.
Yeah,
Almost like me, yeah.
and she's done maybe two movies since, and she didn't even tell me when I interviewed her the first time that she was trying to get back into the industry, but then it just happened like within a month of the podcast interview.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, the population's also aging, and the thing is that when you're a young actress, there are tons of young women like you want to become actresses. But as you age, a lot of people, I think, give up for the industry.
Yeah.
So there are a lot less parts, but there's also a lot less actresses in my age group than there were when I was 20 years old. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So at my level, the people who are older are like movie stars or TV stars, established actresses. But when the indie movie, for example, needs someone my age, when they can afford a name, then there's less competition for, you know what I mean, the age group than when I was very young. So we'll see. But
Mm-hmm.
the important thing is to have fun doing what you do, right?
Oh yeah.
Have a passion and keep pursuing your passion. And I always had a thing for the horror genre, having been in Preacher and having guest star in the Hitchhiker. Have you seen that one I had done in the 80s, The Hitchhiker?
Yeah, we talked about that last time.
Right. So I always kind of like that. So, and I know as far as investing in a movie, the horror genre is the least risky because there's always a market for it. So when I wrote my screenplay a couple of years ago, I decided to delve again, to go back in supernatural horror genre because I always liked that subject. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the horror industry is not looked down upon anymore like it was for like the first 50 or 60 years that it was, popular and stuff. I think it's a lot more. I think it's almost like, like part of the curriculum of Hollywood, basically, of making money.
Oh, now it's much more prestigious. It used to be considered, I think, kind of cheesy and lowbrow, but now with last couple of years, I mean, look at all the movies. Budget, big studios are making tons of money, right? With their horror
Yeah.
movies, with big actresses and actors in them.
Oh yeah, I mean it's gotten huge. I mean, I think horror now though, and I've talked about this plenty of times, especially in the last week or so, that I think horror has gotten really dark and really serious now. It's not fun like it used to be.
No, it's not. It's not. You're absolutely right about that. It's very gloom and doom and apocalyptic and all that kind of stuff. Did you see Bird Box?
Not yet, no.
Okay. And which one was really? Oh, what was the one? Oh, God, now I can't think of the name. About the parents whose daughter is out in sign language. The whole film is silent.
Huh.
You know what I'm talking about? It
Uh,
just came out. It's really, really good. I can't think of the name right now. Anyway, yeah,
yeah.
you're absolutely right about that. It used to be more tongue in cheek and over the top, and it's different now. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind tongue in cheek and over the top, but just like I miss the days of like having a horror villain that was really fun and had a great personality, like Freddy or Chucky. I mean,
Right.
Hollywood
Yeah.
keeps yeah, they keep rebooting that stuff, but it's like they need to write a new like horror villain like those guys that like can bring on the next generation. You know what I mean?
Right. I also like the old from the 50s, like Psycho. That was very dark,
Mm-hmm.
by Hitchcock or The Bird. Those are wonderful movies too.
The Birds, oh yeah, that was shot not too far from my hometown in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So I gauge that your favorite horror movies are the 80s movies.
those are my absolute favorites. Yeah.
Yeah. They were good. They were good. Yeah, they were the whole genre. They were really big then. Absolutely. Yeah.
There were so many of them, and
Oh,
at the time, the industry still was looking down upon them, but they were out there. They were everywhere, and Creature was certainly one of them that kind of got lost in the shuffle. But now it's gotten, I'm sure, just a tiny bit of cult success.
yeah, I think so too. I agree with you on that. There's quite a few. I'm always surprised. I mean, it's still playing. I still get checks. They're telling you like 50 cents.
Yeah.
uh, I get it. A lot of people are familiar with that. Surprisingly, a lot of people are familiar with the film, and I'll look sometimes online at the reviews people write, and I mean, people you see their hate it or love it type of type of thing. But it's so over the top that it's. I mean, it's obviously a ripoff of Alien.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of thing it's fun to watch. I think.
Yeah, there was another Alien ripoff that came out around the same time. I don't know if I told you about it last time. I probably did. It was a Canadian film called Star Crystal, and it was a pretty bad movie. It was a pretty bad Alien ripoff, and they showed the alien that's eating all these people at the end of the movie, and he looks like he's like, you know, uh, the long lost brother of E.T. or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, you never told me about that one. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, Star Crystal. I
Yeah,
think.
I remember when we shot Creature, we had a few problems, technical problems with the creature itself. So, but it's, I mean, a special, I mean, in fact, our movies are a lot of fun. I remember at the end when they, I'm a zombie, and Claude Kinski bends over me, and I vomit blood in his face, attack him. I don't know if you remember that moment.
Yeah.
But oh my god, on the screen, it's like if you blink, you miss me. It's a few seconds, and uh, they went into so much work to build prosthesis to put on my cheeks, to look like I was all poofy and dead. They did a whole mask. They put straws in my nose, straws in my ears, and poured plaster over my face, and then, it was like crazy. And then when they applied the prosthetic on my face, it took hours of work. And on camera, it's like, whoa, it's over already.
Mhm.
So that was fun.
Yeah.
And when this was a low budget film, and we're shooting in a warehouse right by Burbank Airport.
Mhm.
So we would have to stop all the time because the plane was flying over us, and it was really, the summer was super hot, and we had those spacesuit on, and we didn't have any we didn't have any air inside. We were just steaming up really fast.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And then there was no, we could take showers afterward. There was no place to take showers. And I remember that scene with one of those scenes where I'm dead, I have blood all over my face. I had to drive home after that, and I got pulled over by a cop because I had an expired tag. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning on Glendale Freeway, and I rolled out my window. And he shoved his flashlight in my face. He just his strength would have blood all over my face. And I said, I mean, don't worry, it's special effects. I'm fine, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what you get for you work on horror movies.
Yeah. A lot of crazy stuff. Um, Last time we talked, you were telling me about about working with disabled children after you
Mm-hmm.
gave up acting, and I told you that the first disabled home I lived in got busted for human trafficking.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Surprise.
that happened in September, and I was just so shocked. I was in the Bay Area visiting for a week because I had an event out there, and it came up on the news, and I was just so shocked. I got a bit of post-traumatic stress disorder I didn't even know I had, because I remember nearly being sexually assaulted in that place and just not feeling safe from the first time I stepped in there for the meeting before I even moved in there. And
Oh,
I just could not believe it.
that,
And the things I heard that happened on the news report, I just couldn't get over it. This was 2014 that I was in there, and this stuff had been going on since 2008. So it was like 6 years in when I got there. And
oh,
what happened was they were called Rainbow Bright. That was the name of
oh my God.
yeah, that was the name of their level 2 group home company. They had a level 2 group home in Daly City. They had a children's daycare facility, either disabled or non-disabled, and they had a couple other group homes in other parts of the Bay Area, and they were laundering like $90 million, and they were getting all these immigrants from the Philippines because they were Filipinos who owned it. They were getting all these immigrants from the Philippines, and they were making them work 23 hours a day, and they were making them work, at the daycare facility. They were like beating them, starving them. The guy who owned the place that approved me to live there for a while, he was arrested when they were all arrested. He was charged with 3 accounts of what kind of rape was it? It was some kind of rape. 3 counts of rape, and they interviewed the other disabled people who was in the home with me. They can barely complete a sentence, unfortunately. They're pretty disabled, but as far as the people, the police know that they weren't assaulted at all. But um, yeah, so they were doing all that stuff, and they interviewed the neighbors of the place that were like next door and stuff. They were surprised that within a couple of years, they had like gone from driving, a really inexpensive car to an expensive car and wearing, fancy clothing and stuff. They were wondering where they were getting all that money from.
Oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. It's a very corrupted field, unfortunately, and the kids pay for it. It's really really horrifying. All the things I witnessed. I worked for that field for 23 years, and it's it's not just Los Angeles. I think it's nationwide. Those are like warehouses for the kids till they turn 18,
Yeah,
and there's so much physical abuse and emotional abuse and sexual abuse going on. It's very depressing, and I've reported it so many times. Um,
yeah,
Unfortunately, not much is being done. Yeah.
yeah. The second home I lived in, there I didn't get I the only thing that was wrong with the second home I lived in was that woman who owned it, she was very rich. She owned 2 houses, including that one, and she had more money than my family put together. And she was like taking my entire Social Security checks, and
Oh
that
wow.
was going towards the rent. And like she was taking all of it, and like my mom would have to give me money, um, like out of her check every 2 weeks. It was just insane. I had to get the hell out of there and get over here and stuff when my mom got this apartment back after we'd been
Yeah, all
homeless
those
for so long.
places claim they're nonprofit and they barely pay the staff. I mean, it's appalling how little the staff that works there gets paid, and you have to have a college, degree. But the people on top, they all have, every single one I work with a very expensive car. They live in huge house, expensive houses in very rich neighborhood.
Yeah,
And because the county, it's very expensive to put a kid in the system. Well, I haven't been doing it for a while, but back then, I think it was about $8,000 per kid per month that those places are getting, the minimum that they're receiving to
yeah,
house a kid.
yeah. All these
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, we talked to a couple of homes during that time that were potential candidates for me to stay at, and they all had nice houses. They looked like that they were rich and everything, and they looked pretty corrupted. So a lot of them, I passed on, and then these other ones came about, and I had no choice after a while. I had to take them, and the second home, I was in there 2.5 years, and it was, and
Well, yeah, one of the places I worked with, I repeatedly reported abuse. It went nowhere. Took a year before it got somewhere. And when it did, they came one night and all the kids were in big vans, shut down the place, and then I was subpoenaed by the state to testify against my employer.
mm,
They put the place on probation for 5 years, but they were allowed to keep running ruining the place. And finally, they were shut down because they embezzling a couple of $1 million. But they were sexually abusing the kids. I mean, they were teenagers, still kids. And it was like, it took a year before the state intervened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's very, very.
I know we were just we were just completely tricked into this, by the state, with my social workers and stuff, because we thought that it was all, noble work they were doing, to help people and stuff, and it was just bullshit when it was.
Yeah, and then I had a garage sale a couple years ago, and one of the ladies was buying antique furniture from me. I started talking about her about what I used to do, all that kind of stuff, and I told her the place I used to work at, and she made a face, and I said, "Oh, you're aware of how it is?" She said, "Oh yeah, we know." And I told her, "Well, why aren't you doing anything about it?" And she said, "We have no place to put the kids." She worked for DCFS, and
Yeah.
she was a upper level. And she said, "We have no place to put the kids." So we sort of just pretend nothing is going on.
I know it's the sad part, I mean, a lot of these kids, their families don't want them, or like, their parents are dead or something. It's just really sad.
Or the parents in jail. A lot of times the parents are in jail, or homeless, or struggling with substance abuse.
Right.
I just heard back, as a matter of fact, a couple of days ago from from a client of mine. She was 6 years old when I started working with her, and she's now 16. And she called me. I was very, very happy to hear from her, and the system is letting her down. She was crying on the phone, and she was calling to thank me for being always having been there for her. And she was telling me how they shuffle her from one place to another since they're just 6 years old.
Oh my God. But she's doing good though. She's keeping her head up high.
She's not. She's got me really hard. She was initially pulled away from home for sexual abuse at the age of 6, and she has tremendous amount of anger in her still. I mean, who wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
After going through what she went through. So she tends to be very explosive, and then she'll pull the drama and have a tantrum, and then she gets booed out from the group home, and then she goes to a different group home, and on and on and on, and now she's 16, and it's just heartbreaking. Yeah. She's a great, great young lady. I mean, she's very, very intelligent, very smart, very insightful. And she feels totally isolated, and abandoned.
I hope she makes it out okay.
Yeah, yeah. But the system does not work, and that's something that my daughter and I are thinking of tackling next in the next project, is writing about. I mean, 23 years in that field, I have many, 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 many stories to tell.
Yeah. I was talking to
and I don't think it's something you the same for you, and I don't think the public is aware of that.
No, I don't think they know. I look at, being disabled the same as being any kind of minority that, the general population looks down upon.
Yeah. And we both know that the success rate of kids in the system, the foster system, is very, I think about 5% make it through. That's it.
Yeah. My mom and I were talking recently. We're seriously considering suing the state for potentially endangering my life.
Oh, I don't blame her. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that news report, we saw they kept playing it throughout the night and stuff, and I just could not believe that, all this stuff was going on. I mean, it happened in the other place that they were at, the daycare center, but still, the fact that they were doing that stuff while I was living under their roof, I mean, it's just creepy.
Oh, the stuff I witnessed, and I remain close to a few of the people, the young people I work with, now they're adults, and they have even more stories to tell me things. Of course, I wasn't aware of everything that was going on there. I only work 8 hours a day, but it's just, and you can't even say it's just one place. It's everywhere you look. And I talked to my friends who work in that field, and a lot of them, people quit. It's very, 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 very few people last a long time because it's so heartbreaking and discouraging.
Yeah. We had this one woman who worked there. As soon as I got out of the hospital from my accident, I met her. She had started working there a couple of months before, and about 6 months that I was out of the hospital, she left, and I ran into her um, in the home. There's no Thanksgiving or Christmas meals. You have to go get them yourself. I went to a couple of Narcotics Anonymous meetings that had free holiday meals because my mom was stuck over here and she couldn't get down to the Bay Area. So I went there and I saw her because she used to be a heavy drug addict, and she was recovering, and her and I would just talk when I'd see her, like the next year, the next year, she was just like, yeah, I got out of there because I just could not handle the bullshit over there and just being yelled at for things I didn't do because some other caregiver did it first, and she just she just had to leave.
Yeah. No, I don't have experience working with adults. I only work with children and teens.
Hmm.
But I'm sure it's the same thing for adults.
It's pretty much the
Group
same thing.
houses and group homes, it's all the same.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. And one thing that really pisses me off is the fact that she would hire people who were just not qualified. She had this
Oh, yeah.
one woman
Oh, yeah.
who she had this one woman who worked there on every Sunday, and she was an alcoholic, and she was in her 50s, and she had an already a pre-existing um, disability herself, and she was just completely gone. And she would always go into my room when, to see if I was sleeping, and sometimes I would be sleeping, and she would do it, and I wouldn't. I'd hear the door open, but I would know it was her. And then there'd be times when I'd be awake, and I'd be in the middle of masturbating, and she'd see me, and
Mm.
and then she'd leave, and I was just like, oh my god, like, why is she working here? And she's always making mistakes, always like doing things that a crazy person would do. I was like, I don't know why they keep her around here.
Yeah, well, the thing about coming your room, though, I mean, when you do overnight shift, it's a licensing thing, or it used to be, we had to do room checks.
Hmm.
I used to
Yeah.
have to do 4 room checks per hour when I work overnight shift, and not every 15 minutes random, so that the kids don't know what time, because for the safety of the kids, because of a suicide
Hmm.
attempt,
Yeah.
then them AWOLing, and a lot of staff would even bother to do room checks because they'd be sleeping all night long on the couch. So the kids would AWOL all night, come back in the morning.
Yeah.
So I would do room checks, and I would pinch their toes, because what they would do, they would stuff their bed with pillows, and they
Hmm.
would use like a basketball and put a wig on the basketball, so like somebody was asleep.
Yeah, like an '80s movie. Yeah.
Oh my God, they would do all the bushes have to go, because the Coupons were in Hollywood, so they would go out and go clubbing in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And so the only way for me to make sure they were there is I would walk in their room and pinch, make sure there were feet in there,
Yeah.
toes. So yeah, there's a lot of funny stories. I have a lot of sad stories, but also a lot of very funny stories. Because
Yeah.
when you're in the system, all your youth, you have to be really street smart to survive.
Yeah. Well, the problem I had with her, coming in was just that I told her all the time, please knock, and she never did.
Hard. Yeah, no, she's shutting off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially how old were you then?
I was like, between this was I got there when I was 31, and I left
Oh
when I
yeah,
was
no, yeah. I'm talking about kids. I'm talking about teenagers. You're an adult.
yeah.
Absolutely, we should give you the decency of knocking. And the only reason for them to check is for your safety, right?
Right.
If you're, you saw the pulse, so she shouldn't absolutely knock, and you say no, yes, and she know you're alive, you're fine. Yeah, yeah.
And the place had the standard rules of the client couldn't be home alone, right? But there was a couple of instances where I had to be where I had to be home alone because an emergency happened elsewhere. Like one of the other clients had a medical emergency that happened while they were at their day program or something like that, and I was home alone and stuff. But I mean, I never did anything where I needed help or anything. I was always low key, and then I would go out and come back later and stuff.
Right, right. Absolutely. Well, I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah, I'm just glad I'm not there anymore. But
Yeah,
that was scary.
you're doing really well. That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was a scary time, but I'm glad I made it through. At least I get to spend the holidays with my family again.
That's great. And you're doing this podcast now. How many people have you interviewed now? You think on your podcast?
Well, today you are my 370th podcast.
Wow. And when did you start it?
I started in May of 2017, so it's almost 2 years coming up.
Well, that's a lot.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I I had a very slow build up. I started out in 2018. I had 44 episodes, and I ended with like 344 episodes. And I'm just so lucky. I mean, I've gotten to interview everybody that I've always wanted to, and that I've always wanted to get. And of course, there's been a lot of people I haven't been able to get. People who are just scumbags behind the scenes that I'm just so surprised in, you know. But for the most part, I've gotten to interview so many people that I wanted to, and I'm pinching myself still.
Oh, that's great. See, I mean, that's really, really quite an achievement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, 370 episodes, and there's at least 10 people that have let me interview them multiple times and stuff, and so yeah, it's in the 300s of people I've interviewed.
Oh, good. And you have plans to expand, like to do something else with that, or?
I'm going to keep doing this podcast for as long as I'm here in Reading, and then when I come out to Los Angeles, I'm probably not going to have that much time to do this particular one. But then once I get a following and the other things I want to do, I will get like an on-camera podcast where it's just me and the person, together in the room one on one. I'd like to
Oh,
do
yeah,
that.
that'd be fun.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. I'd like to have you on and several people I've
Yeah.
already interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and not just interview actors. I mean, I've interviewed a few musicians on here, not ones that I would like, but just I want to interview everybody, out there.
Do you come to Los Angeles often?
Yeah, well, last year last year was a pretty dark year for me, so I wasn't able to go to Los Angeles, but I'm coming in April for the Monsterpalooza HorrorCon, and I'll be there for 5 days, and I'm so looking forward to it because I need my LA fix because I didn't get to go last year.
Good. Let me know when you're in town.
I'm definitely going to do that. I'm going to hit up so many people. I mean, it's only going to be 5 days, but I'll see if I can spend time with everybody um, that is available, out there and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to meet you face to face.
Hmm. I certainly would too. You, that is. I've already met me in the mirror many times. I got I got some really
And you'll
funny.
have,
Oh, go ahead.
and when we have the screening, I have a private screening for the film when it's all done. Hopefully you'll be able to come to LA to come to the screening.
Yeah, do you know when that's going to be?
Oh no, I mean, we just started editing, so hopefully my guess would be the beginning of next year, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So post production is a long process, as you know. We're to look for a composer now, and I would like to, if possible, I'd like to have a woman composer, but we're open to anyone, so that could be difficult to pick someone that's appropriate for the film, and then of course editing and sound and colorization. So it's a long process.
Yeah. Oh my God. Last year, Hollywood had so many screenings of classic movies, and with with Q&A panels and autograph signings afterwards. I missed all of them, and I was so sad. I was like, God, I hope when I come out there, there'll be some good ones still. And like the ones that already happened, those people won't be sick of them to the point where they don't want to do it again.
Yeah, you can do it. You can, 2019 will be a good year for you, so you can catch up.
Yeah. I mean, they had so many of them last year, and in 2016, I wish I had been able to see the 40th anniversary of Carrie that was screened. The whole cast
Oh,
was
I love
there.
that film. I love that film.
Yeah, the whole cast was there, and I've gotten to interview a couple people from the movie.
Oh, okay. Cool. Wow.
Yeah, but
I remember screen test auditioning for a meeting Brian De Palma for the movie. Do you remember the movie he did called Body Double?
oh, I love that movie. Yeah,
Yeah, I auditioned for him for that. Uh, so that was, I didn't get it, obviously, but that was still an honor for me to get to meet him.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was Barbara Crampton's first movie. She's just on screen in that one moment when Craig Wasson walks in on her having sex with another guy and stuff. And oh my God, Barbara makes this face that's so typical of her. I know her pretty well and stuff, and I just laugh every time I see it.
I'm trying to remember if it was her, what part I went out for. If it was her part, I'm trying to remember. What was the part, the female lead who played it?
I know Melanie Griffith is in there.
Yeah, that's it, that part. Yeah, what was the name of the character? I forgot.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
It was her and Deborah Shelton. They were like
or
the two female leads.
yeah, yeah.
She was like Miss America back in the 70s, Deborah
Right,
Shelton.
right, right.
Yeah. I got some very funny jokes for you
Okay.
and stuff. What happens to your asshole after you have an orgasm?
I don't know.
He's out drinking with the boys.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Why?
Classy. Oh, right.
What? Why do guys like to marry virgins?
Do they?
A lot of them do.
Okay. Still, I mean, do you still have versions out there? Why?
Because they can't stand criticism.
Because they what?
Because they can't stand criticism.
Oh, that's cute. I like that one. That's very cute.
Yeah, a lot of people like that one.
Yeah, I like that one. The other one's a little bit gross for me, but this one is cute. Okay.
And then there's this one I tell all the time. It's clever. It's gross but clever, though.
I don't know if it's girls. I don't know if I want to hear it.
It's one of those jokes you can tell your girlfriends when you're like all hanging out.
Save it for your girlfriend. I don't know if I want to hear both jokes.
Uh, so you don't know when the movie is coming out because you're in the editing process.
Yeah. But we just started because it's a non-linear story, so it's kind of like a puzzle. So we go back and forth non-stop, the past, present, past, present. So it's crazy editing, so it's difficult. But I'll keep you posted.
Mm-hmm. What's it called again?
The Uncanny.
The Uncanny. I was looking at your IMDb, and
I even done it, put my IMDb up yet for that film, and I started looking it's time to do it, and then I'm thinking, oh my God, there's so many names because we had a big cast, like 36 actors.
mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
I just started doing it. So yeah, but it's not up yet.
Wow. Because I was looking at your IMDb, and it says you did a short called That Motherfucker.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's a great title.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a whole bunch of short stories about I did that. I think it was last year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It says 2016, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, oh my God, that sounds really funny.
It was interesting. I had a really good time doing it. Yeah. I mean, I have a passion for acting, so and I like writing too now. So it makes me very happy. And for me, it's not a matter of making money. I would like to make money, but at least to do something of a passion sport to me is a luxury.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
I have a friend, he won first place at this short film festival in Sacramento last year, and
Uh-huh.
we're getting together in May. We're going to shoot a horror show pilot for me.
Oh,
Yeah, we're
you wrote
just
it?
I outlined it. I'm going to write the official script once I get once I get my friend who said she'd be a guest on, who's been on the podcast. Once I get her lined up and stuff, I'll write the entire script of it, and we're gonna put it on the internet. We're gonna put it on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and see if anybody will pick up on it. And if I get a decent amount of views, we'll make at least 12 more of those.
Okay.
And that's
Well,
good.
good luck to you. Well, it works out.
Yeah. Somebody told me, they said, think big, but if you have to do it without any money, then do it. But just think big and think about what you want to do and make it happen.
Right, but you also might want to, when you write your script, also think in terms of budget. I mean, think in terms of small budget instead of big. I mean, think big in terms of being successful. But when you write a script, be aware that the more location, all that kind of stuff, just raise the price production.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes more difficult sometimes to get investors because the more money you need, the more difficult it is to get investors. It's too much money.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna show public domain horror film, and my friend, I'll give her gas money to come from Santa Rosa to San Francisco to do it, and we'll just use whatever costumes or props that we got and stuff, and we're gonna rent a space up in San Francisco for a couple hours, a studio. There's this website called purespace.com where you can rent studios for like 2 hours for like only 40 or $50.
Wow, that's cheap.
Yeah, and they're nice small studio spaces, and you can you can film anything in there and make it look good.
Okay.
The only thing I don't like about them, they don't put curtains on the windows, and I probably have to bring my own curtain cover to put push pins through it, so the light's not
Yeah,
out.
to block out the light, absolutely.
Yeah,
Also, those foam board also work pretty good.
yeah, yeah. Do all that stuff.
Great. Well, I wish you the best luck. You
Mm-hmm.
posted, out through your Facebook how it's going.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, hon. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
Great. I'm going to go back to working now. Oh,
Do you, so do you have any other stuff you want to plug?
Nope. My movie, this is all, it's taking over my life for the next 6 months.
That's so awesome. Yeah, keep me in the loop about it, and then you can come back on and we can talk about it. We can talk about it in great detail.
Yes, absolutely. I would love to.
And I'll let you know about my trip in April and all that.
Please, please. I would love to grab coffee with you. That'd be fun.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, coffee. Thank you so
Great.
thank you so much, Marie, and
thank you for the opportunity, Tom, and talk to you soon, okay? And have a good weekend.
yes, have a great night and don't work too hard.
Okay, I won't promise. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Marie Laurin. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, Marie. It was great that we got to have an in-depth conversation about the plight of the disabled, and you can tell me about your new project in the works in, small detail, but we'll do a full detail one in the future. And I'll let you know when we will get together. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me as a friend on Facebook, join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes!